Harsh and brazen. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on the trip. Get it on. Welcome back to the studio. Comedian, political commentator, and more. Jimmy Dore's got a YouTube show, The Jimmy Dore Show. Always see him popping up on all the shows, giving his opinions, and also on Rumble. Rumble time at Jimmy Dore as well. Live dates coming up.
November 1st and November 8th.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Your first date is in Los Angeles at the Two Roads Theater, which is the first Acme comedy theater we started off on in Lancashire, across from the pizza place, right?
Yeah. That's it's actually on Tahunga.
Oh, Tahunga.
Yeah, across from where Robert Blake killed his wife.
That's right. It's on Tahunga. It's right in a little village there. It's very quaint. And then later on, we moved to Lancashire,
Yes.
and I built the theater.
Oh, really?
On Lancashire in what was the very beginnings of NoHo. And they're trying to start the arts district over there.
Yeah.
And then later on, they moved to the west side. But that little Two Roads Theater we were called the Two Roads Players.
Oh, no kidding.
Back in 1989.
I like that place. It's nice little, it's intimate, it's got good energy. People, you can hear the laughs really good. That's important.
I did not know they did stand-up there. I thought they did plays and productions and things.
Well, I do stand up there.
Yeah.
They do plays and productions.
Oh, you do stand-up there.
Yeah.
How did that work?
So I was just looking for a place to do stand-up and practice my hours, getting ready to do my last special called COVID Lies Are Funny. And so I wanted some place in town to go up, and my wife found Two Roads. She used to be in Acme, Steph Zamorano. And so I don't know, I think she maybe knew about it. And so we just started doing shows there. So I do my panel show there, which is going to be called Rumble Time. And we're also, we do stand-up. So it's a fun space.
Your wife was in Acme.
Yeah. She was a Sunday Company Groundlings, and then she went over to Acme.
Really?
Yeah.
What years did she go over to Acme?
I remember when I first moved to LA, I saw her. She was doing that midnight show, the something Jubilee. That was like, I don't know, 98, 99, something like that. And that's when I first saw her, and that's when I first had a crush on her. And so then she resisted me for 3 years, but then I got her.
So Acme was basically started by a bunch of people that got rejected by the Groundlings and just moved over to another place with an element of like, well, it's my ball, so I got to play. So you didn't have to make the Sunday show or the Saturday show or anything. If you were one of the first 8 people that got there, then you were there. I was grandfathered in. There was no committee that could boot me out of Acme.
What happened to it? Now it's gone. It used to be over on the La Brea, right?
Yeah, we started the Two Roads. We then wanted our own, like, sort of bigger theater and found a place which is still there on Lancashire and NoHo when they were starting the NoHo Arts District in 90, 91. I built the theater. I built it out. It was a building, but I did the risers and the stage and
Look at that.
the
You're
box
such
office
a man.
and everything.
You're such a regular guy.
Yeah, I was a carpenter, and so I was an Acme player, and I just became obsessed with building this theater out, and I just built it alone, basically, with the director, Mark Sweeney, but he wasn't a carpenter, so I sort of worked it out, figured it out, laid it out. It was an old tile store. And it was nice. Like, it was laid out well. It was pretty efficient. I don't know, 90 seats or something. We got all the seats from an old movie theater in the West Valley. And it was a good space. Like, it worked nice. It had a little box office and a sound room in the back and stairs. And I laid the whole thing out and worked the whole thing out. And it was well done. And then at some point I left, and then they moved over the hill.
Oh, really? They moved after you left?
Yeah, after I left,
okay.
And then they built out a new theater. And as a matter of fact, for those who enjoy the movie Windy City Heat, which is a weird kind of cult classic whatever that I made with Kimmel and a bunch of other, Bobcat Goldthwait, a bunch of guys like that from back in the day, the whole audition process and the whole opening scene scenes were shot at that Acme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, over
no
the hill.
kidding. Fantastic.
So for you start off in Chicago.
So yeah, I started 1989 doing stand-up comedy in Chicago, and then the crash happened around '94. So I left, came to Los Angeles.
The crash in '94.
So there was a comedy boom, and then if there's a boom, there's got to be a crash. So then there was so I got it right at the end of the boom, and it was fun. I became a paid comedian. I could do it for a living. Like 6 months after I started.
Really?
It was great. It was a great time. And then a talent guy who used to book the evening at the Improv, Eric Fagan, he was on a talent scout in Chicago. He saw me. He said, hey, I want to start a management company. Why don't you move to Los Angeles? Because otherwise I was going to go to New York. And I was like, sure, I'll go. I don't know what I'm doing. So I moved out here, and it kind of worked out right away. I started getting on television. I used to have that Friday night video show. You remember that on NBC? So I did that a bunch of times, and then they had Late Friday on NBC. Then I was getting on Comedy Central. So it was really great. I even did. I got on Kimmel. Boy, did I eat it when I did Kimmel's show.
Really?
Yes. That was when they still had them on the comedians on the side. That's how long ago it was.
You did a 4 or 5 minute set.
Yeah, they had a 5 minute.
Why
set.
do you remember eating it?
I remember the lack of laughter.
That part.
I remember
that can
that
be
part.
an indicator
Yeah.
sometimes. What was the problem with the crowd?
So, I mean, everybody used to have a hard time on Jimmy's show, right? And they did a lot of things to try to make it better.
I never did stand up on his show,
Yeah.
but I've paneled maybe 50 times.
Yeah, but
or something.
People know you're a celebrity. You're not doing stand up. You're doing panels.
But I remember bad audiences.
Yeah. So they were lit. They were always lit. When he first started, you remember, the idea was they wanted to, it was live, Jimmy Kimmel live, and they wanted to get reactions from the crowd. They thought that would add something to it. And so they had the crowd lit, and they would always have a camera on the crowd, which made them self-conscious, and it's not good for comedy. You know, page 1 of Steve Martin's book, if you put light on an audience member, it's as if you asked them to sit there politely and not laugh. And so that was always a mistake. Plus, they had you off on the side, and so you were performing on the side of the room. It was awkward, and in a million different ways it was awkward. Plus, Jimmy gave me a weird introduction. He didn't say this guy's hilarious. You might have seen him on his Comedy Central special or whatever. He just said, this next guy's a comedian, and he lives at 7520 Hollywood Boulevard. Here he is. And when I came out, I was like, what? Is there a... Because I know he's famous for practical jokes, right? And I was like, is this some kind of elaborate practical joke I'm in? So then I do my first joke, nothing. I'm like, did they tell him not to laugh? I swear to God.
Oh, yeah.
So
not a good thought.
I was in my head the whole time.
Once you get in the head.
And yeah, so I finally, about maybe took 2.5 minutes to get a laugh, and then it was okay, but it was, it's scarring when that happens on national television.
Well, the thing that's interesting about many people I speak to from all walks of life, I had some I stumbled upon on this show. I was talking to some jocks, got professional football players or baseball players or whatever, and they all had seared into the brain the time they really fucked up out there on that field. They didn't have the Pro Bowls and the Super Bowls and all that. That wasn't in their head. And I was like, yeah, I played football, and I remember distinctly like the time where I got a holding call, then I got an unsportsmanlike call, and next thing you know, we're punting from our end zone, and we're up by 3, and I'm gonna ruin the game for our team. And I remember seared in, versus, I've had some interceptions and some good plays and stuff like that. Not really seared in, So you've had many great nights on the stage, but the rough nights are seared in.
Many, yes. I think it's because you come, whenever you come close to death, that's what you remember the most, right? And they call it dying.
Yes.
And but every other television performance went swimmingly and well, but that one certainly sticks out.
Did you do the Tonight shows and the Lettermans and all that stuff back in the day?
I did the late shows. Remember with Craig Kilborn? That was fun. I did it. Then someone else was a host after him. I forget who I did it with.
Craig Ferguson.
And but I never got on Letterman, which was kind of a bummer because he was always a hero. So
Yeah.
that was a New York show, and then the guy who booked it would come out once a year, and he would do audition. I remember I auditioned. It was at the Improv on a Tuesday. There was 20 people there, and I'm like,
Right.
he's not picking anybody. And so, I mean, they kind of know who they want anyway. But, yeah, so it was a bummer. But, I got to have Comedy Central specials, which I'm real proud of. And so I got to have that feather in my cap.
Yeah, I've done Letterman twice, and it was a
Did you do stand-up?
thrill. No, I
Look
did,
at you. You're
I
such
did
a big
panel.
shot. You don't fucking do stand-up on that shit.
So big, I don't have to dance.
You go right to panel.
I went right in there and I sat down.
I remember I saw you. We did a show at the Improv years ago on a Sunday. Patton Oswalt was on that show. You were on that show, and I remember that was one of my favorite shows I ever had. It was fun.
Yeah,
And then I saw you just a couple weeks ago in Burbank, and you know how jokes you remember. Mm-hmm. So I remember your joke about if you wanted to kill Joe Biden. That was so funny. But you put the pillow. You wouldn't even have to hold it.
I had a few Joe Biden jokes.
It was very funny. Then your joke about that was hilarious. I tell people it. I tell it, and not on stage, but off stage. I go, Al Carolla had this funny joke, and then the other one about how you're not a racist. That's also hilarious. But
I am on the spectrum. I don't know why people think that's funny.
That's so funny.
Well, I think it's funny. It should be funny because it's true. Because I do not think of myself as a member of the Klan, obviously, but I have thoughts about like who I would like to encounter at night walking down the street. You tell me the race, and I'll give you an order of the ones I'd like to run into.
I have some strong feelings about the gypsies.
Yes, they're somewhere on my pecking order list. But yeah, I guess the thing about comedy is that it should either be true or super clever.
Yeah, or both.
Could be both.
Yeah, it could be both. Yeah. The truth helps a lot. What I like is when I get people to laugh about things that they normally wouldn't laugh at, right? Like I'll do jokes about working with trans comedians, or I'll get people to laugh at stuff about Gaza, or I'll get people to laugh at stuff about Ukraine. That's my favorite thing. Because everybody's got the Ukraine flag, and everybody's brainwashed again, it doesn't matter. And I'll say, hey, I don't know what's going on in Ukraine, but I'm sure whatever they're saying is happening on the news. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And so they involuntarily laugh at that. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess why would they be telling us the truth?
Well, what happened? You're pretty uniquely qualified to answer this. Has the news always been doing what they're doing now, and we never knew it?
Yes.
And to this in this volume.
It seems, well, what happened was, Noam Chomsky wrote Manufacturing Consent, which he revealed that the news media, back then there used to be 50 giant news media companies. And then Bill Clinton came along and he did the Telecommunications Act in 1996, which took us from 50 giant media companies down to 6. And so now it's why it's such a ubiquitous, they all say the same things, it's all the same over and over. And but again, what Chomsky proved it was that they're not there to actually give you the news; they're there to manufacture consent for the agenda of the establishment. And the establishment, as we know, is a handful of billionaires who run everything in the Western world, and a handful of corporations, the WEF, things like that people don't even know about.
Right. They might say, Putin blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, so now we got to go after it.
Yeah. But and Russiagate made people primed people. Remember in the early 2000s, George Bush he met Putin and he looked into his soul and he said he was a good man. You remember that? They would go fishing together off Kennebunkport. It was all about us imposing our crony capitalism onto Russia.
Well, not only that, but when I think it was Mitt Romney made some comment about Putin and Russia. Obama's like, the 1980s are calling. They want their policy back.
Remember that? And how
we made
quickly.
fun of people that brought up Putin or Russia
Or the
as a
Red
threat.
Scare. Yeah, the Red Scare. We would make fun. Obama humiliated him at the debate. And then just a few short years later, the intelligence community, which, by the way, doesn't work for the president, they figured out that they needed this boogeyman. And the best way to do it is, Russiagate started with the Hillary Clinton campaign, and then the FBI and the CIA jumped in. And so they used that. And I warned when I was at the Young Turks, when they would just repeat Russiagate propaganda uncritically, right? I would say, this is going to lead to a war. And exactly that's what it did. And so when Joe Biden was pulling out of Afghanistan and everybody was patting him on the back, he's taking us out of Afghanistan. And I was like, whoa, what's he going to do with the money that we were spending in Afghanistan? He hasn't announced what he's going to do with that money. And that's because they had another war in the chamber. I knew it. They wouldn't allow him to end that war unless he had another war going. And that was the Ukraine war, which we instigated, NATO instigated. It's NATO expansion. Everybody's warned against this, and nobody even knows how it's really started, which it started in 2014 with the Maidan coup, which was when the CIA overthrew the democratically elected president of Ukraine, and we got in bed with the Azov battalion, the Nazis over there, and that was because Ukraine wanted to be closer with Russia economically than the European Union. It's just an economic war, and then of course people think that Putin just woke up one day in the middle of, I'm going to invade Ukraine just for kicks. No, it was because the people, after they couped that government, the Russian-speaking ethnic people in the eastern part of Ukraine called the Donbass didn't want to go along with that couped government. And so the Ukraine government started shelling them. And that's why they had two peace agreements, the Minsk Accords. And then Angela Merkel revealed that they never intended to abide by those peace accords, that those were just to buy time to build up the Ukrainian army to get ready for when they finally provoked Putin into invading. And they did. They ramped up the shelling. They did twice as much shelling the month before Putin invaded. And Biden said he would invade. Anyway, and then the United States blows up the pipeline, right? The pipeline. And then they say Putin did it. Why would he blow up his own pipeline?
Yeah, it's a little disheartening to start finding out, like
that we're the bad guys.
Yeah, and the 51 FBI, former intelligence guy, all signed a document that said
Hunter Biden laptop was
right, and also we don't really. It's disappointing, and like in a weird way. I feel like a dad who caught my son stealing from the tip jar on top of the counter at the deli, and I just went, it's not about the $8. I'm just kind of disappointed that you're this person. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that this is who we are. Like there's 51 people that signed a document that they knew was not authentic. They had possession of the laptop. Someone could have raised their hand and said, hello, we have the laptop. How do we know it's not authentic? And they did it. And then you have Leslie Stahl going like, sir, they can't prove it. It's like, you're 60 Minutes. You have resources. Mm-hmm. You have trained journalists. You could find out whether this was actually the laptop or not. You could ask. You could interview the owner of the Mac store. There's a bunch of stuff. I'm going to tell you how to do your job, but pretend it's a shady transmission shop and this is 1978.
Yeah.
Go look into it, would you please? And she's literally getting emphatic and trying to like cut him off, saying it can't be proven.
Yeah.
And so now...
Because they're not there to actually find the truth. They're there to manufacture consent.
Right. So now I'm disappointed in the 51 agents, and I'm also disappointed in 60 Minutes because now they're both working in unison. But the question then is, it seems pretty clear to me at this point that the president is sort of put in the driver's seat, but the driver's seat is one of those cars from Disneyland's Autotopia, and there's just a carriage bolt that goes through a hole, and you just spin the wheel around. It's for 4-year-olds to spin the wheel around. They're not hooked up to a rack and pinion. They're not moving the front wheels. The car's on a track. Right, and you get to sit there and spin the wheel. Now, if they welded the wheel to the dashboard, people would complain. But as long as we can see little Timmy spinning the wheel around, then we think it's going on. Now, you tell me. It seems like the powers that be, as we just discussed, want a driver who's satisfied with spinning this wheel around while the car's on a track. If they get some outsider or some agitator who has his own way of driving and is not satisfied with the track this car is on and may get off road with it, that poses a threat to them. And that's what they don't want. Otherwise, I have no idea why they would be involved with constructing a document that said the laptop had all the earmarks of Russian collusion so that Joe Biden could then be armed with that when he got on the debate stage 2 days later. So they obviously have an agenda because nobody went to them and went, we got to write a document. And they went, why? What for? And then went, well, so Joe Biden wins. And they went, what do we care? That's not our business. We're in the CIA. We're in the FBI. We're not in that. We're not in the business of elections. So they want something.
So if you remember this, and this is exactly right. If you remember when Donald Trump first got elected, he was critical of the CIA, and he kept referring to the deep state. And Rachel Maddow did an interview with Chuck Schumer.
It's the greatest tell
ever.
But it's also, whether it's the Coastal Commission saying, listen, we don't want to let Elon Musk launch from Vandenberg because he's friends with Trump, or it's Schumer saying out loud that the intelligence community's got ways to get to you. They're saying stuff out loud now into cameras and microphones that they were supposed to just be thinking in the past, right?
So that's called a gaffe in Washington when you tell the truth. And
that's a gaffe. He misspoke by telling the truth.
He said that Trump is being really dumb to criticize the intelligence community because they have 6 ways a Sunday to get back at you. And what that revealed, Adam, was that the CIA and the FBI and the NSA don't actually work for the president. In fact, the president should be afraid of them. So the next question...
Find that clip, Emmy. Thank you.
So the next question should be, well, if they don't work for the president, who do they work for? Which Rachel Maddow's not going to ask that question because she works for the same people, which is the military-industrial complex.
Right, but here's my question. When you turn on, all right, you turn on CNN, 7 months into COVID, and everybody who works there is now an expert on ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
But they weren't.
Well, they weren't. There were 2 words they couldn't pronounce 15 minutes ago,
yes.
And now they're all board-certified physicians, and they know nothing.
They know nothing,
and they're up there spouting off about it all day, and Sanjay Gupta's up there. Here's my question. Do they know... do they shit people down and go, you now need to start lying about ivermectin? Or do they go, you know which way the wind is blowing, don't you? Or have you seen the commercial that comes on the first break when you go to break?
It's from Pfizer.
It's from Pfizer. And is it understood? Is there a document? What do they believe? You know what I mean? Like Sanjay Gupta's a physician. What does he think?
So, Joe Rogan got him to admit that they were lying about ivermectin. I don't know if you ever saw that interview.
Yeah, he didn't.
He said, why are they lying about ivermectin? And Sanjay Gupta said, I don't know. Right. He said, well, that really seems to bother you. He tried to turn it on Joe Rogan like there's something wrong with him. And Joe Rogan goes, well, that should bother you. You're a doctor.
I know. I love all the people that are bothered that I'm bothered that we just got destroyed by COVID, which was made up essentially, right. and
there wasn't a thing they didn't lie about COVID.
There was no facet of it
that they didn't lie about.
But they need to start a commission for misinformation.
Right.
That's the part I like. We have the Chuck Schumer clip. This is, I don't know, 2000 and what is this?
16, I think.
16, early on.
Early on.
All right.
The latest statement, latest tweet, as you were just saying, President-elect's latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I'm told, they are very upset with how he has treated them.
I don't know. I'll tell you what they would do. They would do Russiagate. They would tap his phones. They would have the FBI lie to the FISA court 17 times so they could tap his entire organization, and they still couldn't find a crime to convict him of. What else would they do? They would lie to him about troop deployments. What else they would do? They would stage January 6th with FBI psyops and people dressed as MAGA supporters inside the Capitol before the riot ever started. They would do all those, and then they would do fucking 92 indictments on him called lawfare. That what wouldn't they do is the question.
Right. And ultimately, whether it's that or COVID, it's only possible if you have a army of citizen sheep who are having a lot of difficulty putting thoughts together, because them on their own, they're in the wheelhouse of the Viking ship, but they need slaves to row.
100%.
And you guys got recruited to be slaves. Mm-hmm. Now, you didn't know it, but you were the ones, you were the lieutenants in their COVID army. They don't have enough. There's not enough enforcement. They don't physically have the numbers to do. But you, as a citizen slave enforcer, can walk down the horse trail and yell at your fellow citizen to put a mask on. And you can lock down, and you can wipe your electronic goods that get sent to you that sat on your porch overnight. You can wipe the box down with Purell, and you can test your 13-year-old healthy son every 20 minutes, and you can also prevent him from going to a slumber party with another 13-year-old son, because it's too dangerous for your healthy 13-year-old son to go that. You can put surgical gloves on before you go to the supermarket and push the cart around. That's up to citizen slaves. And I didn't know we had this many citizen slaves in this country. All of this is only possible, or you can buy in wholeheartedly to the January 6th bullshit. But we need you, non-thinking citizen slaves, to go all in on all this stuff. Now, it doesn't mean COVID doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean January 6th didn't happen. Right. We need these events. They can't be whole cloth. We need something. Once we get them, then it's up to the citizen slave to watch Rachel Maddow and explain to us that Officer Sicknick was killed by blunt force with a fire extinguisher. And then you must ask no more questions about that. And then when it comes to COVID, it's up to you to watch Anderson Cooper while he explained that Trump instructed all Americans to inject bleach.
Which never happened.
Right, of course. The thing that's bizarre about it as we go through the looking glass here is you have people going, what do you mean he didn't say inject bleach? I heard him say inject bleach. Hey, the word bleach never left his lips. He said disinfectant. He was talking about light and something else.
There's ultralight therapy, which I've actually had.
It's all very discernible.
Yes.
If you want to use your phone and go online for 4 minutes.
But that would be doing your own research, Adam. And so that was the ultimate magic trick, don't you think, is where they got people to think doing your own research meant you were dumb. Like what I say in my act is, before COVID, doing your own research just meant you were reading.
Right.
And they got comedians to shame people, comedians that I respect, almost ubiquitous, shamed people on comedy club after comedy club. Tell them you're not going to do your own research, which is what they're telling them is that don't question authority, just follow rules. And if you think for yourself or look into it, you're a bad person.
It is comical that became a punchline. Do your own research, like hillbilly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like I woke up in the middle of a Bill Hicks bit. Looks like we got ourselves a Rita.
Right.
What you reading
I
for?
should listen to Rochelle Walensky, who said we should reopen schools, and then Randy Weingarten tuned her up, and then she came back the next day and said, I was just speaking as a citizen, not the head of the CDC. Yeah, that was just me. I was in front of a banner that said CDC on it, but that was just me as a mom. Me as a professional once the school's closed in perpetuity. So she's the one who has the son who checks off on the calendar every day until it's time to go away to sleepaway summer camp. But on that morning, she looked into his eyes and said, no, we're not going this year because it's too dangerous. That Rochelle Walensky, the one, or should it be Fauci, who never heard of herd immunity, wasn't really sure. Yes. So you want us to listen to the lying experts?
So when did I always considered myself a lefty.
Yeah.
And I never understood when did all of a sudden during COVID, lefties went from hating big pharma and not trusting the government to thinking that they turned Fauci into a deity and science became a religion that you're not allowed to question. And, Carl Jung talks about this, that if you don't have religion, if you don't have a personal experience of the divine, your psyche still has a need for it.
Yeah.
And so you'll create it outside and you'll go to the state, right?
Yeah.
Which happens in communism. And so that we saw it happen with science. We saw it happen with Fauci, the FDA.
Watch a dog in an apartment in Manhattan before he lays down on the carpet, walk in a circle 3 times and then lay down. And you go, what's he doing? Well, his ancestors out in the Serengeti would knock the grass. I know, but we're in Manhattan. We're on the 26th floor. Yeah, that's what he's doing what he has to do.
Yeah.
He's not, no high grass, no Serengeti. He's just doing what he has to do. And we do the same. No religion, nothing to pray for, but we'll create a deity.
I had someone on Twitter just last week saying you lost your credibility with ivermectin. I'm like, so you still don't know the truth? Even Chris Cuomo, that CNN News Tool now recognizes that he was lied to about ivermectin. But what I say back to is like, when you get lied to, you're supposed to go find out the truth, Chris. You're not supposed to just repeat the lie back. You're a newsman with, $50 million newsroom and resources and producers and interns. You're supposed to look it up. It takes 2 seconds to find out that ivermectin's on the WHO list of essential medicines, that it won the Nobel Prize for human medicine. It was used in humans decade before veterinarians ever decided to use it. And it was looked at as a miracle drug before COVID. Now they're saying it could cure cancer. So, and I found all that out because I got vaccine injured, and my doctor, who I was put into a special program to try to treat people like me, he gave me ivermectin, and I was like, hey, I thought this is for horses, and he explained to me that he said, no, Jimmy, all the things I just told you, and then he said, I go, well, why would they lie about it? And he said, because if it could cure cancer or even treat it, they couldn't get their emergency use authorization for the vaccine, and they'd lose hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
And so that's why, and that's what the news is there to do. They're there to manufacture consent. They're not there to tell you the truth about ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or COVID or Fauci or Walensky or anything, or especially war. They're there to manufacture. Have you ever seen a war that the news media was against? They
love it.
They're for all
of them. And the celebrities.
Yeah, they love it.
Love war.
That's right. 'Cause Sean Penn goes over and gives his Oscar to Zelensky because he's doing a great acting job. That's what this all is.
Yeah. I was very early money on Fauci. I was early money on everything COVID.
I got scared because I have a pre-existing condition. I have this bone disease that almost killed me in 2008. So I have to treat it. There's no cure for it. And so they made me think that, COVID is going to go right into my bones and kill me because it goes to your most weakest organ or whatever. And so I was one of those people. I locked down. I wiped I was a fucking idiot, right?
I did zero.
I did all that. And I got the vaccine.
My greatest achievement is doing nothing.
I was the first one in line to get the vaccine.
I didn't even wash my hands once during COVID. I didn't give a fuck.
I felt like
I was such a zero. I knew about 8 days in it was bullshit because I wasn't getting ages of people who died, and they stopped giving ages.
82. 82 is the average age of people who died from COVID. You know, the average age of life expectancy in the United States is now 77. So if you get COVID, you get 5 more years. That's why I look at it.
Emmy, you can find my breakthrough moment with Fauci. It was Fauci getting questioned by Jim Jordan. And it was simple, sheep slaves. You just watch an exchange, and you go, all right, this one guy, Jim Jordan, is asking Dr. Fauci, what about BLM protests? Because you've spoken out very clearly about gatherings at churches and ballparks and things like that. But what about BLM protests? Is that okay?
Yes, that was okay.
And he had no opinions.
Really?
No, he had opinions on everything else, but no opinions on BLM protests. I watched that, and then we drove to the Burbank airport from here, doing shows out of town. We got to find out the date. And I did about 20 minutes in the car railing. This guy's corrupted. We don't need to listen to him anymore. He's corrupted. And everyone does what they always do with me. They go, maybe. I go, listen, he's corrupted, because if he wasn't corrupted, he would go, no gatherings at all times.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's at the ballpark, and it doesn't matter if it's for BLM. It does not matter. It's a group of people coming together is what I'm attempting to avoid. And so it doesn't matter what you put before it. You could say football game, baseball game, soccer game, or BLM rally. Not for it. But he wouldn't say it. And and I don't know, I mean, this is years back. And I said to Dr. Drew, this guy's been compromised.
Well, that was 2020. I mean, I think that's BLM riots were in 2020.
Yeah, I said he's been compromised. And Drew was dubious. Drew's like, nah, he's a good guy. I remember him from AIDS.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
AIDS.
I like that. Aren't you from AIDS? I remember you from AIDS.
And he even said, Dr. Drew even admitted to me, he said, well, Dr. Fauci, he liked to scare people. He said fear is a good weapon. You got to use fear, scare people about it, which is what he did around AIDS. And then, of course, he pushed all those drugs that killed people. And remember gay people? I don't know if you remember this, but gay people, they stormed the NIH or wherever Fauci worked over AIDS and over him not allowed. But the Dallas Buyers Club, the bad guy in that movie is Dr. Fauci, and nobody remembers that.
The clip, which says it's 5 minutes long, the real exchange is probably only a minute and a half, as we've looked at it in the past. But yeah, so. Does Anderson Cooper, like the guys I kind of marvel at are sort of the Wolf Blitzers of the world. Like, hey, storied newsman, you don't know you're getting played, or are you a good company slave? Like, what are you doing?
How do you think he got that job? Do you think he got that job because he questions the establishment?
I guess, is everything that bad? Or it's like, are we that corrupt? So to get back to it, the powers that be look at Trump, and whatever you think about Trump, it doesn't matter. But the powers that be, and look, we're talking about margins here. In the sense, this is percentages. But what I'm saying is if somebody said candidate A could be president, and I would call them about 45%, or candidate B can be a president, and they'll do about 55% of what you want. Military industrial complex or NSA or CIA or FBI, they would launch a hard campaign to get the 55% in there, right? So they look at Biden as an empty vessel, business as usual, been in Washington for 50-something years. We are a cartel. We're looking to elect the mayor of our town, and we need a guy who plays ball. He doesn't need to mule drugs for us. He doesn't need to carry an AK-47. We just need a guy who's going to look the other way. So we don't want our business interrupted, right? And they look at Biden as that, and
100%.
they look at Kamala as that.
100%.
And they look at Trump as maybe we'll get that, but we also may get some trigger-happy sheriff that comes after us. I mean, it's a little unclear what we're going to get. We don't like what we're going to get. So we would like this person that we know who Joe Biden is.
I mean, Donald Trump ran as an anti-interventionist, and he said we should get out of the Middle East and invest that money back at home. And when he was on stage and he looked to Jeb Bush and said, "You and your brother lied us into a war," that the establishment melted down. I remember Charles Krauthammer saying Trump lost the election by doing that tonight. No, he won the election by doing that. And that's so, as Tucker Carlson says, they're afraid that he's going to do one less war than his opponent.
Right.
And that's just what you're saying. That's enough for them to do all this stuff. And because they couldn't control him like they could, he didn't come up through the normal political way, so he wasn't groomed.
Right. You know exactly what you're getting with Joe Biden if you're any of these people. All right, we have this clip, but I want to know the date as well. It's somewhere out there.
And just so you know that Kamala Harris was their first choice in 2019. They wanted her instead of Joe Biden because she was. They thought she could be the female Barack Obama. There's nothing like having a black person be the face of imperialism, right? Because it gets much easier. You would never think a black guy, he's bombing black people, and he must be doing it for the right reasons, right? He's not an evil white racist,
right?
And so Donald Trump puts a bad face on imperialism because they've already deemed him a racist and a white supremacist, so they can't have him. He's not useful enough to the war machine and the deep state, and that's another reason why they have to get rid of him. That's definitely it. Go ahead, let's play this.
Hold on. We have a date on here. Oftentimes it's the date it got posted, but not the date it was created. At least we've run into this.
Look at they're all wearing masks. They're all wearing masks.
So let's double check that date.
There was never
doesn't mean this isn't the date, but let's.
There was never a study. The mask thing, never a study that said you should wear masks.
Zero.
Never. In fact,
between 6 foot and the 6 foot distance, ivermectin, the mask, hydroxychloroquine. I think Drew told me hydroxychloroquine is one of the only drugs you can take when you're pregnant. I was like, oh, then it's nothing.
Yeah.
Then if they say they won't let you have a shot of Robitussin when you're pregnant, they won't let you stand in a room where somebody smoked 40 years ago if you're pregnant. If you can take something when you're pregnant, then it is completely inert.
Yes. But ironically, they're telling people to take the COVID booster if you're pregnant, which is...
All right. Oh, it's confirmed. The date. It's April 21, though, not 20. All right, here's Fauci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus? I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone. Yeah. I'm just asking that number of people. Does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together.
June 6th alone.
So he was talking about June 6th, 2020.
All right. Seems like a ways away from the date we're on.
Yeah.
I rarely ask for a triple check, but maybe we can triple check it now. All right, go ahead.
Alone, I'm just asking that number of people. Does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean.
All right, hold on.
Say limit the protest.
Right, when smart people act confused.
Yeah.
A what? What do you mean limit the? Look, hey, bitch, you've been talking about this nonstop for a year. What do you mean? What? I'm a simple caveman lawyer. I don't know your fancy ways.
You know what you just said? You just said that people gathering together without masks, that's going to be like, What do you
What?
Huh?
No, I'm no longer a doctor. I'm an old man who's been dragged in front of Congress. All right, so let's listen to what he has to say.
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Does the government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to...
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything you can imagine. I'm just asking you just said that protests increase the spread. I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you.
Government stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting, over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, that induces the spread.
It's a simple question, Doctor. Should we limit the protests? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that, for 63 days, 9 weeks, it's been happening in Portland.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one night in Chicago, 49 officers were injured, but no limit to protest. But boy, you can't go to church on Sunday.
What was the? I don't know how many times I can answer that. I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm just going to tell you.
You've opined on a lot of things, Dr.
Yeah, but I've never.
This is something that directly impacts.
He's fucking compromised. He's compromised, everybody.
Well,
this was 2021, wasn't 2020? I thought the summer love was 2020.
That's what I thought it was.
With all the Calvary Chapel case. That's a good. You can find the date on that.
But he said people have had the videos side by side where he said, I didn't recommend that they shut down anything. And then, of course, there's video of him saying, I recommended to the president we shut down the economy.
Right.
He's the biggest liar that there possibly could be. And, of course, he works for DARPA. He works for the military-industrial complex. That's why he was the highest paid guy in government.
Right.
He's in charge of the bioweapons program. That's why he had to ship it to Wuhan. That's what this is all about.
Now, you know all this.
Yeah.
Because you did your own research, hillbilly. You let the government handle your thinking, son. Don't be doing your own research.
Aren't you disappointed? To me, as a comedian, now, I've always felt... I always felt like proud to be part of the comedy brotherhood or whatever you call it, because we never followed directions. We never do what we're supposed to. And we always question authority. But when they didn't, my favorite comedians, who I won't name, my favorite comedians did specials where they did don't do your own research and shamed people for thinking for themselves and not going along with authority unquestionably. What the fuck? Doesn't that bother you? It bothers me. And they're not apologizing.
Nobody's apologizing. Now, they'd all... Calvary Chapel case was July 2020. He also said Portland, 63 days. You guys are going to have
9 weeks.
To break
he said
this.
9 weeks. That's what he said, right? Yeah.
You're going to have to break this one down.
It seems
now,
like
the Calvary Chapel case was just in front of the Supreme Court, according to him. You're going to have to decipher this.
An application for injunctive relief to the Supreme Court of the United States by Calvary Chapel was submitted on July 24th of 2020. So
this looks like 2020.
But maybe they didn't see it for a while.
Correct.
I don't know. Kyle, do some thinking, would you please? Something's wrong with the 21 date on this. Although I think I've run into this before. It feels discernible. But the point is this. He was compromised. I watched this and I went, that guy's compromised. And I didn't need to take as deep a dive as you did with it. I just went, oh, he's compromised. So I no longer have to listen to what he says, which doesn't mean he's not right some of the time. I just will file him under compromise. And then why is everybody so positive that this thing didn't come from a lab? Based on what? How come? My whole thing is, everybody at CNN, how come you guys weren't agnostic about things?
Right.
No one goes, ivermectin? I don't know what the fuck that is.
Let's look into it. No, we were told something. This is what we're supposed to believe. This is what most of them are empty heads like Don Lemons and Chris Cuomo's and people like that. They're incurious naturally, which is why they're perfect for a host job on CNN, right?
Right.
And they're not bright. The other people, it's hard to get a man to understand something when his paycheck depends on him not understanding it.
Right.
So their paycheck, you've heard that statistic that Anderson Cooper makes $12 million a year. $9 million of it comes from Big Pharma. And, they tried to debunk that. Snopes did a thing. That's a conspiracy theory. There's no secret payment. Nobody ever said it was a secret payment to Anderson Cooper. We're talking about how much ad revenue Big Pharma gives CNN and how much of it goes into Anderson Cooper's pocket. So they do all these fake fact-checking things, right? Have you been fake fact-checked by fake fact-checking organizations? I'm sure you have, no?
I've had, it happens all the time. Your own Young Turks show years ago. Not your show on
That's not
Young
my
Turks,
show.
but they did a whole expose on me, except for they fact-checked themselves in real time on that show. Frequently with me, first things first, I just went and basically said, parents, make your own kids breakfast. I don't want the government in charge of feeding your kids. I don't like it. I don't like the message it sends. I don't want the government to be that involved at that earliest stage in these kids' lives. I want mom and dad. And look, this whole thing of this poverty thing, people can't afford. You can't afford hard-boiled eggs and an orange? You know what I mean? What do you mean you can't afford? If you can't feed your kids, then your kids should be removed, But basically, I was July 30th, 2020.
That's when that's from?
Why? Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, it makes sense that I'm smarter than the computer because I have people looking. I'm looking at the computer. It is this date. I knew it was 2020. So I knew Fauci was compromised year one, halfway into COVID. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm no longer listening to him. I was explaining that feeding your own kids was important. I did not care about the money. I didn't want them to be involved with the government this early on. I didn't want the government's hand in your kid's mouth when the kid was 7 years old, because that then just leads to a dependency on the government, and I don't trust the government to take care of people.
I certainly don't anymore, and they certainly would probably, if the government wanted to give you a meal, it would be full of seed oils,
Yes.
that fucking bullshit sugar,
corn syrup,
hydrogenated corn syrup, all that stuff, trans fats.
Also, it's slop. Yes, I don't want my kids eating prison food.
Right.
So I made this, I did a diatribe on this show, and for some reason, the Young Turks felt compelled to pull out that clip and attack me, even though I wasn't saying anything other than parents, feed your own kids. It's healthier that way. And I think we have the clip somewhere. Yeah, here we go. I'll play that for you real fast.
But as far as my talking points go, stop shitting out kids you can't afford. You pay for their school breakfast, not because I want you to pay for their school breakfast, but because the kid should know that mom and or dad are paying for breakfast. I mean, making the effort. It's a psychological thing. It's not a matter of, I don't want to pay 39 cents a day for your kid. I don't give a fuck about that. Half the fucking government takes half my money and does whatever the fuck they want with it anyway. I mean, that's your kid's breakfast is the least of my worries. I worry about your kid and the message that's being sent to your kid by mama not making them breakfast. That's what I worry about.
Seems clear. And then there's a whole part where there's other people from the Young Turks organization who discuss things. Yes.
What I love about that is it's always the go-to argument by some conservatives, and usually the least informed conservatives, right? They're really angry about free lunches. And of all the issues, of all the different things that we waste our tax dollars on, to go to the issue of school lunches just befuddles me. I just don't understand it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I made it pretty clear. I wasn't talking about the financial aspect of it. All the things we spend money on, he's worried about school lunches. I said I didn't care about the money in the clip that they showed before her clip. So I do get called out. Most of the time they undo their own argument by playing my clip. I later got called out by Kank or Zank or Chank. Was it Chank?
Yeah.
And Chank did a whole thing about me saying if AOC was fat and in her 60s, no one would listen to a word she ever said.
That's pretty true.
I think it's about as true as a statement's ever been composed.
Yeah.
And then he had a big problem with me. But then he later on went and said the same thing I said, basically. I don't know. I think we have it. We have that one, too. And here's a quick thought experiment. If AOC was fat and in her 60s, would anyone listen to another thing she ever said?
Oh boy, you're going to step in that one. What exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean, is it because she's young?
That's what I said.
What?
Yes, she's young, she's vibrant, she's beautiful, and everyone's always putting a camera and a mic in her face. But her opinions are idiotic 95% of the time. And I don't think if she was a middle-aged, heavy-set woman, anyone would care what she had to say.
All right. Now, Carolla's an idiot. He's, she's wrong 95% of the time. Dude, you have like 3 brain cells. Who are you to judge political issues? You don't know anything. And AOC's at least 20 times smarter than you. At least.
All right, hold on.
I mean,
hold on. I think he's using hyperbole.
A little.
She may be 14 to 17 times smarter than me, but she's not 20.
Well, she's smart enough to fool people into thinking she's some kind of anti-establishment radical when she goes along with everything that the Democratic Party wants
It's always
to do.
funny when they're like, who are you to give your opinion about politics? Oh, I don't know, Your Highness. Who the fuck are you? Who declared you were the presider of political opinions? There's other people, and then they have opinions, and they're different sometimes, even about politics.
The beauty of America.
Who are you? His Highness is offended that someone has an idea. All I do is give my opinions on everything all day, every day. That's who I am.
Jack has been duped by the establishment to support every war in his lifetime. He supported Afghanistan. He supported Libya. He bragged about Libya. He supported Syria and now Ukraine. Finally Gaza. He found a war he doesn't like, but he's still going to vote for the people who are funding it, which is it's an amazing mental gymnastics that they do over there.
I think he goes on to essentially say what I said in my clip in there.
Oh, really? Let's watch.
I think.
This will be fun.
I kind of remember that.
Oh, is that it?
I don't know. Well, maybe that's it. I don't know. The little, you can wave your hand or you can do something. Oh, okay.
Oh,
then that's it. All right. But then put your hand up, do something. All right. Yeah, I was told that later on he just basically said that, like, of course the aesthetic matters and of course what someone looks like matters. I do believe. And I think we may have that coming up. But Young Turks have a rich history of repeating what I said when they're attacking me for what I said.
You shouldn't.
But
pay
also,
attention.
I don't even know why I'm on their radar. Like, I don't give a fuck.
You're a popular show. You have a popular show.
I get it, but I don't talk shit about them. I don't. Why they got to talk shit about me?
Because they're not as popular as you. That's why.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's why. Because that's the whole point. When people who don't. Are beneath me. I don't know how else to put it. People who have a smaller platform than me take a shot at me. I don't acknowledge it because it's just going to elevate them. That's what that is, right?
Well,
and
maybe
so,
I've inadvertently done
the same
that.
reason why Rachel Maddow doesn't mention me by name. That's the same reason, right? She has a bigger platform than me. Same thing with Bill Maher. When I make fun of Bill, he doesn't acknowledge it. Even though I do it on Joe Rogan.
What is your take on a Mark Cuban when he's up there?
What has happened to that guy?
he's up there on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher's like, you don't think your side lies? What about COVID? And he's like, look, people were trying to help. They didn't know what they knew at the time. It's like, Mark Cuban, you're not dumb. Are you compromised? Like, what is... Mark Cuban doesn't know he got lied to during COVID.
Yeah, really? Everything they lied. They called you a racist if you said it came from a lab. It was revealed that they were lying about it. Fauci gave those guys money. Their first report back was, of course, it came from the lab. But then he's like, well, here's $9 million in research funds. Oh, no, it came from a bat. It came from a pangolin.
Right.
And so they lied about that. They lied. But there's video of Fauci saying you should never wear a mask during a pandemic. It doesn't do what you think. And then he completely switches. And then he says he lied about it.
So I get the Dumbo housewife, but what about Mark Cuban? What is that?
Mark Cuban, because, Rob Schneider, I'm reading his book right now, and he actually makes a case about how he talks about what happened with COVID, which what Mao did, right? So Mao does this thing where he splits the country into, we could have the utopia we want if it wasn't for these people, if they would just go along.
Right.
And so you want to be a good person, right? So I think Mark Cuban's one of those guys who sees himself as a good person. I'm not a bad person like the Trumpers. I'm a good person. So I say wear a mask. I say take the vaccine. And when it's all proven to be a lie, I go, well, they didn't know any better, even though they did, and you were actually lied to. They weren't just getting it wrong, okay? Right. Because I was getting it right, I was getting it right, a pothead comedian.
Right.
Come on. So that's, I think, what happened to Mark Cuban, and he's got the woke mind virus also.
I've screamed that a million times. I left North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA and walked on a construction site and dug ditches for a living. I've never been inside a college. And they go, look, they didn't know. I go, how the fuck did I know?
Yes, exactly. I was a C student. Somehow I knew.
We have Shank. We have him sort of agreeing with me now, so I'm told. Sorry.
Oh boy, you're going to step in that one. What exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean, is it because she's young and
what? Hannity got his panties in a bunch when I said
she's young, she's like, vibrant, oh, shit, she's beautiful, and everyone's always putting a camera and a mic in her face. But her opinions are idiotic 95% of the time. And I don't think if she was a middle-aged, heavy-set woman, anyone would care what she had to say.
I'm not so sure I agree.
So Sean Hannity sort of disagrees. Of course, he was sort of smirking during that conversation, saying, oh, you're going to step in it, not what you're saying is horrendous, and you're actually a part of the problem that you're implying exists.
Part of the problem.
Then goes on to say, no, she is actually quite effective at turning all of the Democrats into socialists, and they all follow her lead. So even his apparent defense of AOC was disconnected from reality. But anyway, I'm curious what you both think about the commentary you saw there.
The exact opposite happened.
So, mixed bag. And what's the mixed part? Hold on, I'll get to it. So, number one, he says, oh, yeah, she thought Sharon Osbourne and Roseanne Barr, et cetera, should be canceled. Did she? Did you double check that? I don't know that she thought that at all, right? So, for example, for us, we almost always say that they shouldn't get canceled. And by the way, different hosts have different opinions, so I should speak for myself, right? For example, I didn't think Sharon Osbourne should be fired. I thought they should have had a conversation over it, and I can go on and on. Megyn Kelly, I mean, we've defended 1,000 different right-wingers, not what they said, but that we shouldn't fire them. Instead, we should have a conversation about it. And that's because, unlike the right wing, we have principles. Now, Roseanne Barr, on the other hand, didn't say something that was borderline. Like Whoopi Goldberg
a lot of
talked about
talking here,
how the Holocaust was terrible, but wasn't necessarily racial. Now, as I said at the time, I think it was wrong, but I don't think she should have been.
So by the way, AOC did not turn the Democrats into socialists. The Democrats turned AOC into a war-supporting establishment tool.
Yeah.
Exact opposite happened than what that guy said.
Well, he's
the exact opposite.
Yeah, well, no, everything they say is the opposite of what is.
Pretty close.
I mean, I don't know that there was a COVID stance that wasn't the opposite.
That's right.
Of what it is. I don't know that there's a war, international, whatever. I feel like it's all the opposite, and I don't think it's a coincidence.
That's correct.
I feel like when Kamala Harris is calling Trump a dictator, I think, this seems like a lot of projection from the people who have been involved with a lot of this kind of activity.
They're putting democracy on the ballot.
Yeah,
Adam,
I know.
And that's what a queen does. They put and by a queen I mean a monarch installed by the elite without any votes from the voting public.
All right, I think we have it now.
But here's the twist.
Uh-oh.
Is it true that the mainstream media pays more attention to AOC because she's attractive? The answer is probably yes. Now, Carolla's an idiot. He's she's wrong 95% of the time.
I'm an idiot.
Dude, you have like 3 brain cells.
Okay, so
all right,
who are you to judge
Let's just
political-
see. I'm an idiot who he's agreeing with.
He's agreeing with you
on this, and you can run that again. And before, yeah, go ahead.
Is it true that the mainstream media pays more attention to AOC because she's attractive? The answer is probably yes. Now, Carolla's an idiot. He's she's wrong 95% of the time.
All right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So they have a rich history of trying to attack me and then agreeing with what I say.
Yeah, there you go. That's nice.
That's good journalism.
That is. He's still a jerk. We don't like him, even though he's right for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. All right, listen. If I'm an idiot and you agree with me, you have to be at least part idiot, right?
A little
idiot in you?
Yeah.
Maybe something on your mother's side. She comes from a village of idiots. Yeah. Maybe she was a village idiot, but great grandfather was the village idiot, and you just got a little taste of idiot.
I mean, there hasn't been a thing they have gotten right in a long time, which is why I left that show.
Yes.
It was hard for me. It was really hard for me when they were doing Russiagate, and any moron like me could sniff out that was a psyop initiated by the Hillary Clinton campaign, which documents prove that it was. Documents. These are documents that I could show you, internal documents that got released that show that their whole idea was to tarnish Donald Trump as being a Putin puppet and a Russian stooge. And then the FBI, then the whole Steele dossier was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign. They lied and said they didn't pay for that Steele dossier. And then they had to pay a fine for lying about it.
It's all
made up.
Hey, I do my own research. Yeah, I should listen to Anderson Cooper. All right, before we do the news, I got a quick Kamala word salad, like a recent word salad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like her latest offering in the word salad department. Mm-hmm. It's about 2 minutes of word salad, but I think you would enjoy it.
So this was the town hall where
this is the late.
This is Maria Shriver. She announced at the beginning that they would not allow questions from the town hall people. Why are you having a fucking town hall?
Maria Shriver's a fucking idiot. She gets up there and she's like, "Look, we're doing a town hall, but the questions have been presented in advance."
It's
like, bitch, you're not supposed to say that part. Say it's an open forum where we talk about democracy.
And then she's out there with Liz Cheney. She's campaigning with Liz Cheney, who is repulsive to the majority of the elect. I don't know what they think they're doing, but keep doing it.
Here comes the salad. Here we go.
If I can just speak to what people are feeling. We cannot despair. We cannot despair. The nature of a democracy is such that I think there's a duality. On the one hand, there's an incredible strength when our democracy is intact. An incredible strength in what it does to protect the freedoms and rights of its people. Oh, there's great strength in that. And it is very fragile. It is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. And so that's the moment we're in. And I say do not despair, because in a democracy, as long as we can keep it in our democracy, the people, every individual has the power to make a decision about what this will be. And so let's
all right, you can pause it for 1 second. I will say this. They need, and I would have done this with Trump at his Al whatever speech the other day with the Catholic. She needs the guy that we see at the club with the flashlight, right?
That's right.
He's just standing up in the back.
Give her the light.
You're getting a minute 18 of some ambling answer about nothing. Just lighter.
Yeah, lighter.
Just lighter.
Lighter.
Also, all right, we'll keep playing it. Sorry.
Decision about what this will be, and so let's not feel powerless. Let's not let and I get it, overwhelming nature of this all make us feel powerless, because then we have been defeated. And that's not our character as the American people.
What is she?
We are not one to be defeated. We rise to a moment.
Despair.
And we stand on broad shoulders of people who have fought this fight before for our country. And in many ways, let us look at the challenge then that we are being presented and not be
pause
overwhelmed
for a
by
second.
it.
In the fight against a real estate game show host?
Can you imagine if there's a stenographer,
right?
And the stenographer's just doing every syllable. At some point, the stenography machine would stop, and you'd have to blow into a breathalyzer. It'd be like, there's no way you're not fucked up. No human being is saying this. You're writing gibberish now. Like,
what
all right,
can be
go ahead.
unburdened
Sorry.
by what has been?
I mean, be prepared to start and stop, or you probably orient.
She's still going?
It's going to
There's
happen.
more?
Yeah.
In many ways, let us look at the challenge then that we are being presented and not be overwhelmed by it. The baton is now in our hands. To fight for, not against, but for this country we love.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what we have the power to do. So let's own that. Dare I say, be joyful in what we will do in the process of owning that, which is knowing that we can and will build community and coalitions and remind people that we're all in this together.
This change guy going, what the fuck did I sign up for? This bitch is nuts.
Strip us of our strength.
Strength.
That's how I feel about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, seals.
Yes.
Lemons, seals, sheep. Put your paws together.
Yes.
Very important. Moving, dare I say. All right, she has no idea what the fuck she's talking about.
The person who didn't get one vote to be in the position she's in somehow is talking about democracy and fighting for it and championing it.
Well,
they had a primary. The winner of it, they threw out all the votes and they just like Jim Gaffigan said, that they created a coup. They did a coup. That's how much they care about democracy. They committed a coup. That's what. And can I just say this about Jim Gaffigan? He is one of the whitest guys I've ever seen. If there was a string tied around him, Tim Waltz would make him available for free in men's rooms.
Rudy Pavich going to come in and do the news with Jimmy Dore and I, and we'll do that right after this.
Hey, I'm Adam Carolla. That's Brad Williams and Jay Leno. Hey, buddy. Over there, we're doing our 3rd annual comedy fantasy camp. That's going to be January 23rd through the 26th, right in Hollywood, California. Where else would it be? These guys are going to be there.
So remember, 2 out of every 3 comics make it big.
Well, 1.5.
Do I get paid for this? Please tell me I get paid for this.
Go to comedyfantasycamp.com and get in on the fun. Old school security systems only act once somebody's already in your home. Simply Safe, well, has changed all that. New Active Guard outdoor protection stops crime before it starts. Live monitoring agents keep watch outside of your home for anyone loitering or acting suspicious. LiveGuard can see, speak to, and scare off with a loud siren and spotlight anyone who's out there monkeying around where they shouldn't be. Simply Safe cameras, AI ignores friendly faces, family, neighbors, dog walkers, all the good citizens, while alerting agents to threats. Starts at only about $1 a day. No hidden fees, no long-term contracts. You can cancel anytime. These guys have been a sponsor for years on the show, and we all use it here. And you can save 50%. Just my listeners, 50% off. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam. That is simplysafe.com/Adam. Right, Dawson?
This offer is only valid for 1 week, so visit the website now, simplysafe.com/Adam. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Buy Optimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough. Well,
if you're getting enough magnesium, because 4 out of 5 Americans aren't, and that affects your sleep and your mood and all the other things you need. And then your sleep affects your mood. So it becomes a vicious cycle. Since I added Magnesium Breakthrough to my nightly routine, I fall asleep with no problem and I wake up refreshed. Other magnesium supplements might give you 1 or 2 forms of magnesium. Magnesium Breakthrough contains all 7 forms of magnesium. All Bioptimizer supplements are best in class, and you can get a full refund if you don't love it. No questions asked. And if you disagree, they offer a 365-day money-back guarantee. So that's a company that's pretty confident in its product. It's not a 10-day trial exchange. It is a 365-day money-back guarantee. I take it every night before I go to bed. It's a game changer. Buy Optimizers. Am I right, Dawson?
Don't miss out on the most relaxing sleep with Magnesium Breakthrough. For an exclusive offer, go to buyoptimizers.com/Adam and use promo code Adam during checkout to save 10%. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed.
Rosetta Stone, learn a new language. It can be good for travel, also good for business. Yeah, speak the person's native tongue. Get the account, Rosetta Stone, the most trusted language learning program available. It's a desktop or as an app. It truly immerses you in the language that you're learning. 30 years and millions of users, 25 languages, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Korean, Chinese, Arabic, it's all there. Designed for long-term retention, no English translations. Learn to speak, listen, and think in that language. Plus, the built-in true accent feature gives you feedback on your pronunciations. Lifetime membership has all 25 languages for 50% off. It's Rosetta Stone, right, Dawson?
Don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. For a very limited time, Adam Carolla Show listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/Adam. That's 50% off. Unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/Adam today.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, St. Petersburg, Florida. A 22-year-old woman was arrested for criminal mischief after fighting an employee and smashing a phone when she was upset about her delivery being cold. The delivery was from Domino's Pizza. Definitely not a Jew.
Rudy Pavich is in. He's got dates, but he's also got the news. So what do you got there, Rudy?
Yeah, well, Hugh Hefner's son wants to buy Playboy again for $100 million. Cooper Hefner and a group of investors submitted an offer to Playboy Group that would see the brand once again family-owned more than 7 decades after it was founded by his late father. As part of the proposed deal, Hefner and his investment firm would buy back the Playboy brand and run the intellectual property. Playboy Group, whose stock was as high as $50 a share in the spring of 2021, was trading at less than $1 a share on Monday.
Why was it that high in 2021?
I believe that they had made some big moves when it came to trying to move to like a digital platform. And then it just didn't take off.
I see.
Because of Pornhub and XNXX.com and all the other websites that were. So that was kind of the big deal was, Playboy kind of got moved out of the limelight because of all the other outlets that are out there. But what's weird is in the article that I was reading, they said that Playboy is valued at $50 million, but he makes $100 million offer for it. Why would you, I guess... I mean, I'm not a financier.
Me
but-
neither.
Feel like just in the air freshener, the van air fresheners alone have got to be worth $20 million bucks worth of intellectual property. Like you want to cruise in a van, it's not
Remember
doable
those?
without a Playboy.
Yeah.
Unclear, by the way, what the Playboy scent is. You know, could be a lot of different things. You know, it's kind of like when Gwyneth Paltrow comes out with a candle. It's like, what are we smelling here?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
Bill Cosby's balls from back in the day.
Oh my God. I always laugh because at a certain point, you know, Hugh's 80 years old and he's banging around with the 22-year-old runaway chicks from Muncie, Indiana, who are the hottest chicks in their town. And he's got to say to them, like, at some point, like, good news, girls. Guess who's coming over for movie night? Don Adams. And they're like, who? Get smart. Hello. Yeah. We don't know what any of this is.
Yeah.
Like, because he would play cards and do like movie night with these old comedians that the young chicks never fucking heard of in a million years. And then there was talk about him being bi or gay or whatever.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that was a thing. And he even did interviews and stuff where he was just like, yeah, once in a while.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
I don't get it. Do we trust I don't know. Okay, maybe there's some overcompensation going on with him in the chick department. I guess what I'm saying is like if somebody goes, yeah, you know, you walk in and like you go, oh, whatever's in the nightstand, and you open the nightstand and you see a syringe with heroin in it, right? And you go, you shoot heroin? And they go, wow, barely. You know what I mean? Like once in a while. I feel that way about taking it in the ass. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, now and then on a full moon, but not really my thing. Like it's like you're
Special occasions?
Yeah, holidays, certain holidays. I would just be like, no, never, or all the time, like I would with heroin.
Although I was in a group of people this past Christmas, and somebody said, "Oh, by the way, this is so and so and so and so. Oh, and meet Crystal Hefner." And I went, "Oh, hey, by the way, big fan of your dad's work." And then it got real quiet, and somebody goes, "That was his wife, by the way."
Oh, wow.
Shit. Yeah. So,
by the way, bisexuals aren't they? I think they should be kicked out of the LGBT because aren't they implying there's only two genders?
Ooh,
right. We all know there's 184. I bet they're so those bisexuals. They seem like they're bigoted and probably white supremacists.
How many actual bisexual males are there?
Zero.
I don't mean in numbers. Yeah, I used to say on Loveline a million years ago, bisexual is gay with a publicist. And bisexual is you basically saying bye to heterosexuality and hello to homo. But they do it incrementally. Like Elton John's bisexual. Oh, slow down. Still likes the ladies half the time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he gets with the ladies. You know, it's like they do bisexual in a sort of like a slow incremental way. So you used to have to do it like, Elton John's bi? Okay, all right. He's still half good with me. But then at some point, they always end up with a dude full time.
Yeah,
right?
It's the same as anal. You can't just go right in. You got to ease into it. Yeah.
Hefner's personal physician, Dr. Mark Saganor, was in a romantic relationship with Hefner for almost 40 years.
No. Wow.
Hefner's daughter, Jennifer Saganor, well, I guess, claims that Hefner's daughter, is that her? No, that's Dr. Saganor's daughter, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Saganor's offer, otherwise it'd be a weird coincidence that Hefner named her Jennifer Saganor, claims that her father and Saganor, oh boy, now I'm getting confused, had a spiritual connection. Hefner also acknowledged experimenting with bisexuality. Oh, Jennifer Hefner. Okay, so Jennifer Hefner.
So Hefner's daughter.
Hefner's daughter said, yeah, they were spiritually connected through jism.
Yeah.
You know, like Rudy, you and I have that same sort of jism connection. Yeah.
Spirits, that's a code word for cock, right?
Yeah, that's how they do it.
They're spiritually connected.
Hefner also acknowledged experimenting. By the way, experimenting is like when they go, the politician, the Republicans, I experimented a little with drugs like everyone, and you dealt meth in college. So experimented with bisexuality. Hey, he was down with the fellas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's where James Caan came in.
Yeah.
No. James Caan, Hef would leave the party with 5 hot chicks and go into the bedroom, and then Caan would come in and go, all right, we know, homo.
Yeah.
You don't want none of this pussy. I'm here to mop up.
Yeah, take your smoking jacket and pound sand.
Yeah, or pound ass, but you know what's going on. Hey, ladies, it's time for a con job. He dropped his sweats. If he did not call a blowjob a con job, he was leaving money on the table. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Hef was bi, gay, something.
Wow.
When you have that much money, and at that point, we've talked about this before with Richard Gere and the gerbil. When you have literally banged every hot woman on the planet, there's nothing left to go for.
Left.
So that's why Hef, I imagine, at some point was like, I don't know, man, maybe maybe Jimmy Caan does have a package down there.
Well, that's what I don't get. I don't get about these Diddy parties. It's like, isn't sex with hot women enough? Like, why do you have to add this oppressive kind of thing to it and have underage girl? Why can't you just...
Listen, I feel the same way. I don't even want a Mentos with my blowjob. Like, you're ruining it.
Yeah, Pop Rocks, get them out of here.
Nothing wrong with the way it was never broken.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it's basically what you're talking about with Diddy is essentially the difference between ordering drinks and bottle service. Because you go, just fucking order drinks. You can order as many drinks as you want. No, we need sparklers and we need everyone in the restaurant looking at us. And it's like, you don't need to pay $3,000 for a bottle of Grey Goose. You can just order $18 at a time, 6 of them from the bar. You'll save a lot of money. It's like, we do bottle service, bro. That's just the sparklers and everyone looking at you. It's not necessary, but when you're super rich, that's what you want.
I guess. I still don't get it. I still don't understand how super hot women having regular sex does not fulfill you. It's so exciting.
You haven't banged enough models for enough nights in a row. Eventually, we get tired of this shit.
Yeah, I've been with my wife for 24 years, so.
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
Let's just say I fed you a Raiderette every night for 17 consecutive nights.
Yeah.
At some point, you'd want to get Justin Bieber to come over. At some point.
Pat him down, make sure he doesn't have a wire.
Check his wire. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
But you've never been there, so you don't know.
No, I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
I've lived this sheltered life in Hollywood.
Yeah, you sound like my mom, who would, like, back in the day, would go, 2 cars? Who needs 2 cars? You can't drive them at the same time. Okay, man. You've just never been a one-car person. You see what I'm feeling?
Yeah.
It's not an indictment of you, Jimmy.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it may have sounded like
it. A little bit.
But not really.
It's a money thing, though, isn't it? Like, once you have that much money and that much
It's about power.
Yeah.
It's about a weird power thing.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just a lot about just getting your dick sucked is really what it is. It's not a power thing. It's not a money thing. They always say that with, like, you know what it was? He was coming after her because he wanted to have power over her. I was like, I don't know. Maybe he just thought she was hot and, you know.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
He just wanted a con job. Look, he's gone, but Scott Conn is still alive.
Yeah.
And I think I can get through him. I can get to him. I'm going to change your life, Scott.
But you get him to start calling it con jobs?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. But you saw the video of Diddy beating the hell out of that woman. I mean, what's that about?
Hold on. I don't want to defend Diddy, but that was an edited video.
What do you mean?
Well, there was like 400 hours of surveillance footage, and they just took that one part out where he was beating the shit out of his girlfriend.
Yes, that's
which
the bad part.
I would explain to everyone. But they're like, those are deep fakes with Biden standing looking comatose at the Jan whatever party. I'd go, yeah, it is edited. It's true because the event is 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's still him doing.
It's still him doing that thing.
I know, that was their argument. It's edited.
Really? That's the argument?
Well, that's
he didn't beat her in that
no.
short
That's
time.
the
It was
Biden.
stretched.
That was the Biden argument.
Yeah.
Like when he was about to come undone, they were doing the cheap fake.
Oh, cheap fake.
Edited.
Yeah.
Edited.
Yeah.
Although Fauci did say he wasn't sure if she could, got COVID through the beating, though. He was very
right.
Yeah,
He wouldn't
apologetic
commit.
about it, Yeah.
All right. So Hefner's son is coming in.
It looks a lot like his dad.
It does.
The younger version.
He's got the chin.
Yeah.
Why did you just let it go? Playboy, it's a different thing. It's over now, I think.
Yeah.
Why would someone want to pay for softcore porn? Right, which is what Playboy is. They were like supposed to be classy, and then you had Hustler and Penthouse. They were the more raw things. They didn't airbrush.
Mm-hmm.
But the Playboy, it's just like its time is come and gone. Don't you think?
Yeah, we found magazines like Playboys at our buddy's dad's place out in the garage when we were 12, and then somebody found a club magazine out in the woods, and Playboy was like, no more. We'll never look at another. Why look at a Playboy when we know this is out there?
I mean, they have Victoria's Secret shows on television now. I mean, what's there's just that's basically what Playboy was.
Yeah, just wait till Halloween.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah.
There is something called, intellectual property. And the fact that every single one of us knows the term Playboy makes it valuable.
I guess.
And there's such a thing. Bugatti was defunct in the 80s or whatever, and then Bugatti's making supercars now. Not the same, but it's a name. Like, if there's, the name is worth something. I'm with you. I don't know what to do with it. But the name has value.
Well,
Everyone knows the name.
I can't believe they ever stopped having Playboy clubs, right?
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
That sounds like something that would be interesting to go to a Playboy club.
Yeah.
And they could, it would be classy titties, shit like that. And they still have titty shows in Vegas all the time. People love that stuff. It's not like people don't like it. So why? I mean, if you're going to do Playboy, if I was going to take over the empire, the intellectual property, I would go do Playboy clubs again, right?
Yeah,
and maybe do a Playboy casino, stuff like that.
They even had their own way of setting drinks down.
Oh,
do you remember
really?
that?
No, I never went to one. It was
No, I never went to one either. But you can find it online. Did you know this, Rudy?
I didn't know this. No.
The cocktail waitresses at the Playboy Club, which had the greatest outfits ever, had a signature move for setting the drinks down.
Really?
Where they bent backwards instead of putting the tray down in front of them. They did a weird back curtsy thing. They patented a move. Had to be tough on the lumbar, but the young ladies could. Take it.
Bend at the knee?
I swear to God, I'm not making it up. It's out there somewhere. It's probably caught on tape. There's news stories about it. They had their own curtsy, weird drink thing. My feeling is I would get my own martini because I get a martini. I order that martini and it's up to the top.
Yeah.
And I see that bitch coming by and the bus boys walking by and I'm just staring at my drink, sweating. I'm like, do not spill. Do not spill. I just go to the bar and fetch it myself at the Playboy Club. The backhanded curtsy thing, the bunny dip.
Oh, is that what it was called?
Oh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You get that with the pita chips and the con job.
Oh, is this what they're doing?
We will see the bunny dip.
Now when she places this one, you notice that she is doing what we call a bunny dip. There you notice that she is bending at the waist.
Is that Lenny Bruce?
That's incorrect. Another way that it could be incorrect is if she were to go down in a sitting position, rather than keeping her hips tucked under.
The club is really an extension of the concept that was developed in the magazine. And it's an attempt as much as possible to kind of bring to life the concept of relaxed urban living, good food and drink, pretty girls, good entertainment.
All right. So that's an explanation of what's wrong with the bunny dip. But there is an actual execution of the bunny dip. But there's something called the bunny dip. And that's how they set your drinks down. Seems needlessly elaborate.
Yes.
Or maybe we should bring it back. Like the next time we go to Mastro's, you're like, hey, bitch, what's wrong with the dip?
Pair it up with the con job.
Con job.
I'll tell you what.
Bunny dip.
When I used to drink martinis, I was at Houston's. You ever go eat at Houston's, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm halfway through with my martini. All of a sudden, the waitress comes by with a brand new ice cold glass, pours it in, and I'm like, "Are you shitting me?
You got to be shitting me."
I was like, I've never seen that, and that's why Houston's rocks. Their service is unbelievable.
Brand new
frosty martini glass.
Wow!
I was like, "Holy shit!" It blew my mind.
Yeah.
I could tell it did yours too.
I listen. I love any of that stuff.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying they came by and grabbed it when it was half. I don't like when they're trying to grab food away. Like, you done with that? Like, it's all right. I'll let you know when I'm done. All right. Do we have a clip? No, sorry. That's a clip. All right, one more story.
All right, here we go. AI tongue can taste the difference between Coke and Pepsi, Penn State researchers have revealed. Scientists created an electronic tongue they say uses AI to differentiate between the sodas Coke and Pepsi, with the potential to detect the chemical makeup and the difference between liquids beyond human abilities.
Yeah, it's all on now.
Yeah.
Wow.
As I was reading this...
That'll come in handy, I guess.
Well, what they're saying is that... an AI tongue would be able to detect chemicals in certain things that are coming in from certain countries that they deem might be harmful to Americans.
Yeah, all the poison is in here in America.
Yeah, it's already
banned
here
all
anyway.
the poison.
Also, when they asked James Caan to return the favor, and he's like, "Fuck, bust my neck up on rollerball."
Yeah,
I can really. And that's where the AI tongue comes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get going, Mister.
The problem is, there was a picture of it. I don't know if you guys have it back there, but it doesn't look like, when they say AI tongue, I'm thinking of something that looks like a tongue, but it just looks like a circuit board.
They've been doing this to me with the flying car for a million years. Like, it's a flying car. That's a fucking VW Bug with a Cessna duct taped to the top of it. That's not a flying car.
Yeah.
Have you seen the water skiing squirrel? That's a squirrel standing on a piece of plywood that you've stapled down to the plywood and you're dragging it along behind a butt. That is not a water skiing. There's a lot of that.
So is that it?
Yeah.
There it is.
That doesn't look like anything.
No, but we're gonna have to do this like a magic ear is not in the shape of an ear. It's a hearing aid.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, I think we're there now where we hear this and we think it's this, but it's not. Oh, they're also throwing around robot a lot, and we're picturing legs and arms and a forehead and stuff, and it's not that. It's a Roomba, you know?
Look, there's the quarter right next to it. You can see the size. So it's tiny.
Yeah. Yeah, for scale.
They cropped out Adam's dick next to that quarter, though, for size.
Yeah, I came up with a line of smaller coins so I can meet ladies online.
Put dimes next to it.
Also, a ruler that's only 3/4 of an inch per inch. All right, we got our guest waiting out there, Jen Kober, stand-up comedian. Jimmy, I'm going to give you some plugs.
Okay.
And then I think you're heading out. Of course, the Jimmy Dore Show.
JimmyDore.com.
JimmyDore.com, live shows.
Yes.
Coming up. Two Roads Theater.
Yeah, I got to get you on one of those panel shows. I got Tucker Carlson's going to be on the one November 1st. I got Roseanne, Dr. Drew, November 8th.
I don't know any of those names, but I'll be happy to come by. I'll need a con job first, a little incentive, a little motivation, not gay, just by.
Sure. Do a little Hefner.
Little Hefner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Little bunny dip.
Yeah.
I'll leave you a little tip with the bunny dip there.
Give you a little AI tongue.
A little AI tongue for some bunny dip. So we can go to jimmydore.com for the live shows and all things Jimmy Dore.
We'll see you I'll be in Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Lexington, coming up in November.
Great seeing you, my friend.
Great to see
Look
you.
Look forward
as
to
always.
doing your show soon.
Okay, hope so.
Funny comedian Jen Kober and Rudy's going to hang out, I think, as well. We'll do another news story or two. We'll do that right after this. Guys, never saw the bunny dip.
Never saw it. Now that I see it, I know what you're talking about.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, they're in the business of keeping your car on the road. They offer friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. I've been using these guys for a million years. You know I'm a car guy. I used them way before I got into show business, that's for sure, and I use them now. They've got thousands of parts, accessories in stock, either in store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free, and they can do it in your car. You don't have to pull it from your car. If it needs to be replaced, well, they'll help you find the right battery for your vehicle. Need your windshield wipers replaced, a brake light fixed, maybe a quick service. They'll help you find the right part at the right price point. And if not, they'll help you find the nearest local repair shop to help you as well. Whether you're an aficionado of the automobile like I am, or auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, friendly. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto, do-it-yourself, and can find you what you need in-store or online. It's O'Reilly Auto Parts. Election Day is coming up. November 5th, if memory serves, and that's where sendthevote.org comes in. 30% of registered voters do not turn out to vote, and only 23% of people under 30 voted in the last election. Come on, America. Come on, youngsters. We got to do better than that. Sendthevote.org/Adam makes registering to vote very easy. It's nonpartisan. They don't care who you're voting for. They just want to ensure that you vote because you're an American. It's your civic duty. Head over to sendthevote.org/Adam and they'll help you sign up, register, and they'll check and make sure you're all set to go. You can also text Adam to 33022. That's 33022 to learn more. That's ADAM to 33022. Don't be another no-show statistic. Let's get it done this year at sendthevote.org/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, man, listening to all the pizza talk. The ultimate pizza is a jalapeno, onion, and ground beef pizza. But you have to get it from a restaurant that has a full kitchen. And they grill the burger, chop it up, put it on the pizza, and then bake the pizza. Forget about it. Best pizza ever. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
I'm kind of with you. I like the onions. I like the ground beef. I don't have a problem with the jalapeno, and I'd go along with that. Jen, would you go along with that pizza?
I have to say that I am at the age where jalapeno repeats on me for a little while.
Really?
So if I eat one jalapeno, I'm going to be tasting jalapeno for the next 2 days. So it would have to be really good and really worth it for me to...
What's your pizza weapon of choice?
I mean, I just had a white pizza. Have you ever had one of those? It's like no red sauce. It's like an Alfredo-y kind of more cheesy
How is
sauce.
that?
Delicious. Because also the tomato sauce upsets my little tummy. I'm a delicate little flower. And so the white pizza was like a lovely find.
I also kind of like the thought of it, you know. Let's have a special meeting.
Yeah.
For white pizzas.
Yeah, white pizzas.
Yeah.
Would you go back to it? Would you do it again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you make it a consistent thing though?
No.
Yeah.
I mean it does it's one of those like one-offs, right? Like a salad pizza. You ever had a salad pizza? It's great. It's a big giant salad spread out on a pizza crust. But you're not getting that every time you get pizza.
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
gonna piss you off.
I miss the device, the salad shooter. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah.
Rudy, you remember the salad shooter?
It had the crank on it, but I also remember that being like a gay joke from the 80s.
I was just about to say that like that was also like a bulimia joke from the 80s.
Oh,
I
sure.
feel like it was like
So now what do you do if you have like the acid reflux, but you want to go in for the spaghetti and the marinara sauce
I
or
just
whatever?
chew like 7 Tums.
Before.
I go at it that way, and then afterwards, I just hope for the best.
You're going to
maybe drink a little milk.
This is a theme here because you're going to be at the El Portal Theater in North Hollywood, and Jimmy Dore's doing the Acme Theater, or up the street, the Two Roads Theater. El Portal was my hometown theater.
Oh, really?
On Lancashire there. It's beautiful. They converted it now. It was a movie theater.
Yeah, I live right there. I love it over there. Yeah. I live right next to Actors Equity.
Oh, so you're in NoHo land there. Yeah. So
I'm a Valley girl, can't you tell?
But you didn't grow up in the Valley.
Hell no, I grew up in Louisiana. I didn't grow up anywhere near all of this progression and left-wing things we have out here. I grew up in deep, deep red country.
Yeah, how was that?
I mean...
Well, I grew up out here. We didn't have any of this. We didn't have any of this shit out here when I was a kid.
I'm sure it was very different. But I mean, I think growing up in the South, like I was a Jew, lesbian in the South, going to Catholic school. Like I became a comedian because that was all the choices I had. Like I just.
When did you know you were a lesbian?
Very early. I kissed a girl in third grade.
Okay, let's try to figure this out.
Because I heard your bisexual conversation, and you guys, it sounds to me like, have you seriously never had a girl peg you? That's never happened? You've never had a girl peg you?
Girl, you read my mind.
I'm just saying, like.
No, here's my explanation, or here's my
explanation.
Assertion.
So you have had it.
No, I think that men who are bisexual are a smaller percentage than women who are bisexual.
I think you are absolutely wrong.
You do?
I think that men don't talk about it. I think men keep it as you know what I mean? Like it's that because like you said, it's a very slippery slope into gay. So the minute you admit that you've had any amount of homosexual activity, which is just not true. I mean, I've had sex with boys. That doesn't make me straight. I'm certainly not straight. I never would be straight. No part of me is straight. But I had sex with boys. So I think that like you can say that you've had an experience with a guy, and it doesn't even have to make you bi. You may feel like I am totally straight. I had this one experiment. We were kids. We touched each other's dicks. Whatever we did. Like, you know what I mean? I think men are less
kids touching each other's dicks.
Right. But I mean, even in college, you know what I mean? You get high, you're on an acid trip, somebody whips out their dick. Sure. We're off to a different adventure. Like, it's just a thing. You know?
Let's go, Dora.
Let's explore. I don't think straight dudes experiment without some sort of predilection for gay or bisexual.
I just think you're wrong. I just think that there is so much sexual exploration happening in the world.
Let's just say one time Jimmy Kimmel accused a good buddy of mine. He goes, "That guy's gay. I know that guy's gay." And it was a guy I went to grade school with and whatever. And he was a very kind of manly man. And Jimmy's like, "I know that guy's gay." And I go, "I know he's not gay." And he goes, "How do you know? You don't know." And I go, "I've been poisoned by alcohol and passed out in his midst like 34 times. And I never woke up and had his fucking hand down my pajamas."
Maybe he just didn't find you attractive.
That's possible. Come on, babe. I mean, what are we talking about here?
What's not to find attractive?
I am saying, as a straight guy who's not even overly heterosexual.
No, you're not.
No. The idea of being with a man sexually is like somebody saying, "You're going to love poi." And I just go, "I don't think I want to try poi." And they go, "You're going to love it. It's fermented root," and I'm going, "We don't have barbecue."
I get it. I mean, there's a spectrum, so I feel like you could be at one end of the spectrum. But because there's so... I mean, I think, especially kids now,
women have had
there's not even any gender anymore.
Half the women I know have been with a chick at one time or another. Of course they have. But not half the guys I know.
But I think it's because guys don't talk about it. I think it's happening. I think there are slumber parties. There are football games, times on a bus. I mean, like, stuff happens in the living.
I think you're living in a gay
guys.
snow globe. I don't know any of those guys.
None. Yeah.
And my guys would do anything or say anything, and they're just not. They ain't into it, or they are. But I just don't think. I think women are a lot more flexible.
Women are a lot more flexible, and the thing is that guys find being with other guys gross or making them gay. Girls find being with other girls funny and entertainment for men.
Yes.
And you guys like it, so it's not a big deal for us to talk about it. But I'm telling you, I would dare stake my life on the fact that statistically, boys have had just as many homosexual experiences as girls.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you on that one for sure.
Well, every woman. No, let's put it this way. Almost every woman I've dated has told some story about crossing over at some point with
all
some
the way
woman.
Or kissing a girl at a bar. I mean, what are we talking about?
Well,
are we talking about licking box?
Well,
what are we talking about?
I don't know. Does Katy Perry have a licking box song?
I don't know.
Well, beyond Katy Perry.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. Yes, like a story of a sexual encounter with a woman, and guys, while they might not be as forthright, I do not know many of those guys. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and I would say that's probably, that could be true, but I think that the experimentation of homosexual activity with men also doesn't have to be consensual. There are men that have been molested, touched.
Well, now we're getting into another realm.
It's still an experience. It's still contact of a homosexual nature. That's all I'm saying. We're laughing and joking, whatever. But there are instances in which this happens.
If I said to my friend Chuck, like, you ever done a gay move? And they were like, no. And I was like, what about that time you were raped in a Mexican prison? And then he'd go, well,
yeah, exactly.
When you're right, you're right.
Yes. That's exactly what has to happen. That's exactly what has to happen. What about that time Raul bent you over in Tijuana?
I would say if you took 10 random guys from this neighborhood and 10 random women, and we asked who's had the experience, I think more women would have had the experience than guys. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know that you're wrong, but I think that the number
it can't be the same amount.
I think that the number of men is higher than you think it
they're
is.
letting on.
Yes.
Because of the stigma versus titillation.
Yes.
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 All right, yeah. That makes sense.
I have had conversations with friends of mine that were like football player guys that turned out to be gay later in life, but in high school,
I think the
they
Rams
were like,
drafted
you cannot.
that guy. There's one guy. Yeah.
Well, they are the Rams.
Ironically.
Listen, I wish I was gay. Don't get me wrong.
I wish you were gay too.
It'd be
we would
awesome.
have so much fun together.
It would be. What would we do?
We would go on a gay cruise. Have you been?
No.
Oh, dude.
I feel
Once
like gay
you
and
take
cruise is
women out of
redundant.
the equation and just let men be men with other men, oh my God, the amount of insanity.
Well, how does a
is
gay
like
cruise
times 20.
work? If you're a woman, you can be lesbian and be on the cruise?
Yes, you can be a lesbian on the cruise. I'm often asked to do comedy on these cruises, so I'm there just as like they don't give a shit that I'm there. They don't care that I'm around. They don't want anything to do with me. Like I spend a lot of time just doing my own thing because they're doing their thing. Yes, because I thought when I got booked on the gay cruise, I thought it was going to be like half ladies, half fellas, and then glitter in the middle. Like I thought it was just going to be one big gay party, but it was like 5,000 gay men and me. And I was like, oh, this is, and it's weird for me because, from behind, I look like a fella. So it's very, it was like I would get.
You could be stalked by a lot of tops.
There aren't a lot of tops on a gay cruise. I will say that.
Hold on. I'm right. Keep going. Not a lot. Shortage of tops.
Yeah. Shortage of tops.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very. There was a pride party on one of the gay cruises I went on. So which the last place I feel like you need to have a pride party is on a gay cruise.
Yeah,
but whatever. I was not in charge of programming. So a pride party to me, insinuated we should all be wearing like rainbow things, right? Like Pride gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing Pride I had was a strap-on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wore a rainbow strap-on to this party. And I
Mm.
thought it would be just very funny and very silly. And if you knew how many men begged me to bend them over, because they don't care. They just want some, you know what I mean? It's just a stick it in situation with these boys. I don't.
How many we talking about?
I
Low
mean,
20s, high 30s?
It was at least a dozen men.
At
I
least
literally
a
had to go
dozen.
back to my room, take it off, and change because, like, I couldn't stand the way I was being Me Too'd on the gay cruise. Like, it was insane.
Listen, I rarely get upset, but the fact that you had to walk back to your cabin unaccompanied and take your strap-on off is sad. I don't want to live in that
And if you were gay,
country.
you wouldn't have let that happen to me,
I
would you?
would have fucking grabbed the microphone away and given a very inspiring speech about your right to wear a strap-on.
Thank you. And not be touched and not be ogled and not be like, they kept grabbing
It's
it.
like
and
saying,
even though
oh,
it
that
wasn't-
girl's skirt was too short. She was asking for it. Or that
exactly.
gal had a huge strap on.
She had a strap on. What was I supposed to do?
I mean,
She was wearing it on her forehead. What was I supposed to do, you guys? God.
So let me ask this about the gay cruise. And find the movie. I'm looking at you, Joe. You know the gay cruise movie?
Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
And Horatio Sands.
Sands, yeah.
Horatio Sands. A boy trip or something? They made a whole movie. I mean, it was sort of the Juana man of the 2000s, which is guys pretend to be gay so they can go on a gay cruise to fuck the Swedish bikini team. Like, stuff that doesn't hold up that well.
Right.
Boat Trip, it was called. I mean, just the slug line of that movie and the Rotten Tomatoes score. But look, I'm not Julie McCoy, your friendly cruise director.
Right.
But when you throw like one of these orgy sex parties, you have to go, look, fellas, if you're going to show up, you got to bring a lady friend with you. Because otherwise, it's going to be a sausage fest in here. We're going to have 30 guys show up for every chick who shows up, you know?
Right.
If I'm organizing the gay cruise, I can't have all bottoms.
Look,
you know what I mean? Like I need a bottom, a
there's-
top, a bottom, and a top.
There's some versatility in that community. I will
The
say
bottom
that.
community.
But the bottoms are winning. I walked into a guy. So what they do on these gay cruises is they will leave their door open if you can just walk in and do your business with them. They will just leave the door
They leave it ajar.
to their room ajar.
Fire marshal's got to be pissed.
Right? So I didn't know that, and I was like, oh my God, this person's door is open. What? And you know, I'm a lesbian. I was like, is something wrong? I'm here to help. And there's no cleaning crew in the hall. So I walk into this room, and there is a guy with a ball gag in his mouth, handcuffed, ass up on the bed, and it says on a sign next to him, "Leave your loads." That is the level. I brought in my laundry.
Know his
but
dad was also on that cruise.
it was unbelievable. I thought to myself, this is a level of that is debauchery, right? Like that is just a level of. I watched a guy. I was on the elevator.
Wait, now hold on one second.
Okay, you're
ball
you're
gag
taking it a lot.
in mouth.
Ball gag in the mouth. Handcuffed, ass up.
Hands in front. Yeah, hands in front. Otherwise, you'd suffocate in your own pillow. And ass is oriented toward the door. And leave
your loads.
Leave your loads. Now, I probably would have just come in there and taken his wallet and left.
That's what I said. I was like, I'm going to come in and leave my laundry. Fuck this guy. Like,
you open the door.
I don't know how
and
he's
you
going to do
saw
my
this.
whites with his hands handcuffed, but I'll let him try.
Had folks been there before you?
Yes. Yes, he was red and swollen in that area.
So if he was handcuffed to the bed, who was driving the boat?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So leave the gay, the code, the stuff. I could remember years ago driving home from construction and the West Side, going around Observatory Drive through the zoo and Los Angeles Zoo and stuff, and
I just went up the back road and whatever, and I would see a dude just standing by the bushes on the side of a windy highway. No mountain bike, no nothing, just a dude standing there.
Yeah.
And then you'd go around the corner and there'd be another dude just standing there like, by the bushes. And I was like with my friend, I was like, what? This guy's cars break down? Or like, they're just standing there. They don't look like they're hiking or they lost their dog or anything. Didn't find out till later. It's a whole gay thing.
Yeah.
Like, they don't mince words. It's like, you want to.
Well, it's also that is because of them being very closeted, right? Those are guys that probably have wives and kids and whatever, and they've got to go to some windy highway to find a trucker who's going to blow them in the woods or whatever. Or
they would go to the woods.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how many of these doors are cracked open?
I mean, on a long hallway on a cruise ship, I'd probably say 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one party that you go to where people wear dog tags, and if you have a red sticker on the dog tag, that means like you're taken.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a yellow sticker on your dog tag, that means like buy me a drink first. But if you have a green sticker on your dog tag, that's like let's do it right here and now on the dance floor.
Wow.
And I've seen enough to know I've saw too much. This was a lot.
They have lesbian cruises?
They do. They do. And I'm actually doing one next week. That's where I'm going. I'm going to Puerto Vallarta with the lesbians.
And you'll be performing?
I will be performing, yes.
So are you in a relationship?
I am. I am married to a gorgeous woman.
She going on the cruise?
She is. Do you think she would let me go on a lesbian cruise by myself, please? I'm adorable.
I don't know. There's a lot to sort out here.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like I'm blowing Adam's mind.
Well, the ball gag and the handcuffs.
Have you ever met a real lesbian? Is this a first for you? I would imagine.
I'm wondering now.
Yeah.
You brought that into question.
You've dated girls that have slept with girls, but have you ever been with have you ever hung out with a hardcore lesbian?
I got beat up by one.
Oh, I'm sorry. What'd you say to her?
Springfield, Missouri. A girl that I was dating was in a relationship with a woman, and then they had broken up. And then about 2 months later,
came and found
we
you.
went back to her house after a Christmas party one night. And as we were walking up, said ex-girlfriend came out of the bushes and started swinging on everybody.
Butch girl?
And I hate to say it, Jen. She looked exactly like you.
I
In
know.
fact, I was a little nervous when I saw you walking in here. I'm like, oh, shit.
I am a lover, not a fighter. I have never hit anyone in my life, but I look like I could.
Yeah.
And I know that about myself. So.
Yeah, maybe I've never known any real hardcore lesbians.
Well, I think we can change all that now.
I think it
I'll
already
give you my phone
has.
number. We'll hang out. We can have some burger pizza. It'll be delicious.
Keep that
Some
door open, Ace,
jalapenos.
man.
Yeah.
Keep that door open. Yeah. Sorry, I have to do this. I got to catch a flight literally in an hour, so I got pulled. So really nice to meet you, Jen.
nice to meet you.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Or I didn't hear that part.
No, all good. I was kind of just hoping I could just hang for a couple minutes because I'm a fan.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm going to get out of here, catch
Thank
my flight.
you.
I'll be back
All
in
right.
a couple of weeks. We'll see you guys soon.
Make sure
Enjoy it.
pull the door shut. I don't want it ajar. Got a lot of.
We don't want to give anybody
We
any
got open-minded
ideas.
folks.
There's
who
a
work
lot
here.
of men in this studio.
Yeah, I wish I had a lie detector to find out if they've ever been with a guy.
That's the thing, is you can only go by what somebody tells you, right? Like, I could deny ever touching a man if that's what I wanted to do. Like, you know what I mean? And nobody would be any the wiser. You're not going to find the guy.
I will say that I have shared a bed with a lot of guys. I shared a futon with a roommate for a long time when I was younger.
Right.
Jimmy Kimmel and I, whenever we would travel, we'd sleep in the same bed half the time because the radio station didn't have enough for 2 rooms or whatever. I've done a lot of bunking up with dudes, and they never made a move. So that's
you
why I
don't
think.
seem gay at all. You do not have a lot of.
What is that thing? I was lamenting with somebody the other day that no dudes ever hit on me my entire life.
Well, you don't seem tender at all.
Oh, is that what it is? They only like tender?
Well, no, but I think when you see tender, you go, oh, I bet I could, if I wanted to have my way with that.
Tender. Does that also mean pliable?
I mean, for men, probably, yeah, yeah. I also think that because there's so much stigma around guys being with guys, if a guy were going to make a move on you, he would need to really know you were going to reciprocate that move back, and you just don't give that off.
Yeah.
Not at all. Now, Kimmel, that's another.
No.
twink, or whatever we call him, bear. He went from a bear to a twink.
I think he's maybe an otter. Maybe he's an otter. Yeah.
Let's break it down.
I don't even know them all.
Or do we have lesbian handles?
No.
What's up?
They're lesbians. Lesbians basically fall into butch or femme as a general rule. There are studs that are like the butchest of butch. There are stems, which are studly femmes. You know, there's this. This is all just sort of spectrum-y rainbow coalition bullshit of the same thing, which is, you know, even though we like to fight against the binary, we're all still really living in the binary.
Any famous lesbians that we don't know are lesbians?
I mean, I cannot speak. I don't know anyone you don't know. But I mean, I think that after having worked in this business with a lot of actresses, they have almost all told me of a time when this is what people do when they meet a lesbian. They start telling you, women, this is what women do with me. They start telling me the time that they slept with a woman so that I'll think they're cool or so that I'll know that they don't have some weird thing with me.
They're not
you know
uptight.
what I mean? Yeah. And so I have spoken to a lot of lesbians that are married to men that have shared with me stories of sleeping with women. And yay for them. Good on you.
You call them lesbians, but
I don't call them lesbian. No. They've had. Let me rephrase. They have had lesbian experiences.
Yeah.
They are straight women that have had lesbian experiences,
and they're kind of doing. They're kind of doing with you like what sometimes people do with black people. Like they'll go up, they go, "You've been following the Lakers, man? What Kobe's having a..." They just start talking with just super racist and like condescending. Or they'll bring up some black music. Like,
right.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar, man. I like that kid.
Right. Or like if they find out you're Jewish and they're like, I was at a deli one time.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, thanks.
Have you been to Cantor's? Have you tried the matzo bar?
I had a latke one time. Those potato pancakes, them are good.
Louisiana Jew.
I know,
Not
right?
a lot of good delis out there.
Zero good
say.
delis. Zero good delis. In fact, my temple was so reformed, we had a temple crawfish boil.
Wow.
Yeah, we are like Jewish light, like real light. Yeah.
There's nothing better than a good deli.
I agree. There just weren't any. There was a Subway in our town that was as close as we got.
When did you get out of there?
I left when I was 18. I went to college in Chicago, so I got out.
So now you're
quickly.
And did you feel like when you got to Chicago, you could let your hair down by cutting your hair off?
I actually didn't cut my hair off until I got cast on a show out here, like 10 years ago, maybe. I had really long hair for a long time. I had long hair when we did that Byron Allen thing together. I mean, I was...
But you felt like you could come out of the closet, or were you ever in the closet in Chicago?
No, I ended up coming out to my parents and stuff, but I knew what was going on. I knew which side my bread was buttered on. I was ready for it. And
when did you come out? How were your parents?
My dad was like, "Yeah, I know. You wear neckties and you only hang out with girls." And my mom was a little upset about it. I believe her exact words were, "You murdered the child that I raised." But she has since gotten over it and is very accepting now and loves my wife and is very cool.
I'll tell you, with guys, with dads, the idea of their daughter having sex with dudes
is awful to them.
Bothers the shit out of them. So then the lesbian move is kind of a lateral move.
Yeah.
Because
and
you're
they're okay
gay,
with it.
but you're not getting dick. But when the son goes gay, that's lose-lose. Because now it's more dick. Like, I'm trying to get rid of the dick.
Yes.
I like to eliminate the dick from these relationships.
And I think there's also something built in with dads and sons because they assume that if the son marries a dude or is gay, he's not going to carry on the name. There aren't going to be children, which there certainly could be, but that's the assumption. And so I think that's like a little death for the fathers of gay boys.
Yeah, there's negatives to it for the dad, but for the woman, for the daughter,
vis-a-vis the dad, it's a little bit of a lateral move.
I agree.
And
I think my dad was very happy to hear me say that.
And
it didn't bother him at all.
So then, percentage-wise, back to the numbers, I think more moms are probably less okay with the lesbian daughter than the dads who have a semi-relief of bullet dodge. Bullet in this case being cock dodged.
Yes.
So,
I mean, whenever we bring religion into it, now you're getting everybody against you. So there's that. But there's also, I think, a thing with dads that because they don't want the mom upset. Right? There's this happy wife, happy life thing, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I think dads kind of get swept into that, even though dads are okay with it.
Yeah.
They kind of have to jump on this mom bandwagon of not being okay with it because, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Yeah. Men like to suffer alone in silence.
Yes.
Women like to beat on a fucking pot and pan with a wooden spoon and to draw you all into the misery tent.
You are correct. You are correct.
Yeah. I don't know if it's stoic. I don't know what it is. But like if I'm not feeling well or hurting or whatever, go in the room. I'll shut the door. I'll turn on Sports Center. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like I actually think men sort of prefer to not be around others when they're going through whatever they're going through.
I know a lot of men that are babies, though. I think it depends on how you were raised. If you were raised with sisters,
men from the cruise.
I think. I mean, either way.
Was the guy at the ball game?
I think guys that were around guys are like you said are perfectly. But I think men that are mama's boys, right? They want to be ta-ta'd by their mama. They go right back to the titty the minute anything goes wrong.
I forgot about the mama's boys.
Yeah, they're hard to handle. My brother is such a mama's boy. I really don't know how his wife doesn't kick him in the balls daily, because he is so up my mother's ass. But he's a good kid. He's a good guy. You know what I mean? It's not like he's an ass. It's just that he's so attached to my mama at the hip. It's very. I mean, it's sweet in some ways, but it's also like, what are you doing?
No, I feel bad for the women who marry those guys, because I've had roommates that way.
My little brother goes and has dinner at my mom's house almost every Sunday and then falls asleep on her couch. Like a baby, like with his little head in her lap. Like he is just got to be ta-ta'd.
How old is he?
He's 40-something years old. 42,
43.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, let me give you a plug here, Jen. I feel like we got a little behind it today, so you should come back soon, and we should, explore the rest of this world.
I think it's a good one.
No Flies on Me is the name of the comedy special. It's available on YouTube as we speak, and then the aforementioned El Portal Theater coming up October 24th, and then Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Is that the cruise?
Yeah, Puerto Vallarta. No, it's a resort. I'm with the lesbians in Puerto Vallarta. Then I go with the gay boys in Cancun the second half of the week. It's like gay Mecca all week long.
Website, Jen Kober's KOBER.com is where you go for all the live dates and whatever
Absolutely.
you're up to.
Absolutely. All of the things.
Thanks for coming in, Jen.
Thanks for having me, man. I feel like we enlightened.
And Jimmy Dore, you can go to jimmydore.com as well, and Rudy Pavich. And Rudy, you should go to rudypavichcomedy.com. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla saying mahalo.